All right. So there's a property in Wynwood area of Miami, Florida that just came on the market. Actually been on the market for a few weeks now. Let me just show it to you because Wynwood is super hot. Miami's super hot. And this is a good demonstration of what it is to market a retail property in kind of a high street, super hot area. So you got Eric Williams, he's a good friend of mine, actually. We started in the business together back about 20 somewhat years ago. So he really knows what he's doing. He's over at Newmark and they do a call for offers, Wynwood Jungle. So you can see the Wynwood picture here. This is totally the Wynwood area. It's very bohemian, very artsy, a lot of organic kind of looking facades and um, tons of cars. Sometimes they kind of AI the cars in, so I'm not sure if these are actually there or they kind of added them post production, if you will. But Wynwood is a pretty hot area, and I'll go over to the map to kind of show it to you a little bit. So, call for offers. They do this call for offers because when you're dealing with these larger properties, this is a blind bid process, right? In that there's no asking price. So you have to download the underwriting materials, do your cash flow analysis, do as much due diligence as you can up front, and send in your offer. And the way that they want your offer, which is Friday the 13th, by the way, they want it with the purchase price self explanatory, an earnest money deposit, meaning that are you putting $1 million down initially and another million, after due diligence is over? And is that going to be refundable or non-refundable? In some cases, if you're really aggressive, you might say, hey, look, I'm going to give you $1 million deposit, initial non-refundable. And sometimes a non-refundable is like it's non-refundable outside of title and environmental, which is essentially refundable, but at least it's not non-refundable for any reason, right? And then it's the financing plan. Do you need to get a loan to buy the property? And if you do need to get a loan, are you trying to get a really aggressive loan? Like, are you trying to get a 75% LTV loan, or is it a 50 to 60% LTV loan? And are you okay with recourse or no recourse? The easier for you to get the loan, the more of a certainty that you're going to be the buyer because you'll have a higher chance of closing the loan if it's an easy to close loan, like the terms are easy to attain. 50% LTV, 5-year term, full recourse. If you're a legitimate buyer, you're probably going to get those terms, right? Then the due diligence period. For commercial properties, a lot of the times you see due diligence as 45 days due diligence. And but I can say that in a competitive environment, sometimes it gets chopped down to 30 days due diligence. Or they might say, hey, let's do 30 days due diligence, not from when we signed the purchase sale agreement, but when we signed the letter of intent. And so that kind of makes you start spending money sooner and it cuts the whole timing shorter. And also, theoretically, it makes it so that you are negotiating the purchase sale agreement faster. But when in reality that does is it just gives leverage to the seller. Because if you're already spending, $50,000 on your environmental, your property condition assessment, your survey, and your appraisal, then you're kind of a little bit committed already. Then the closing timeline. So after your due diligence is over, sometimes you need 15 to 30 days to actually close the deal with your bank. And you have to talk with your lender to find out what that timing could be. And there's a confidentiality agreement. I'm not going to sign it, but you can kind of see some other pictures here, and I'll go over to the map. All right, so you're over here at the map now. You got Wynwood Jungles, which is this red dot, kind of zoomed out here. I know this area really well. I actually used to live. I'll show you where I used to live. Here's the red dot, Wynwood Walls. I used to live right here called Plaza Venetia on the Venetian Causeway, which is 15th Street. That takes you to South Beach, by the way. So here's South Beach. So I used to live on 15th Street, Venetian Causeway. There's a marina there. Great place. I was there for 16 years, and I was actually there before Wynwood became Wynwood, right on Biscayne Bay. Pretty cool place, and maybe a 5-minute drive to where Wynwood Jungle is now. And Wynwood, just so you know, is really well known for an artsy, bohemian kind of like almost it's very young and hip kind of place. There's an art walk and so forth. And Wynwood Walls is pretty much where it all started. And Wynwood Walls is this place that's got these murals And it's kind of, back in the day, they didn't have these gates. You can just walk through because they're just trying to get people to walk there. It was a little dangerous back then, actually. People weren't really there at night, and it was mostly warehouses and some kind of cheap real estate factories, maybe. But over time, Tony Gold, they bought up a lot of stuff here and started to make this kind of like the meat packing district of New York. I think they're New Yorkers, actually, the ones that really spearheaded this thing. And so a lot of the traffic is right here on Second Avenue by those Wynwood walls. And there's like Panther Coffee as well and Koyo Taco and things like that. So this is where all the action is now. And Second Avenue is a through avenue, like there's traffic, but it's mostly people here for Wynwood. On the other side, Miami Avenue, this is a huge commuter road, right? Miami Avenue, you can take Miami Avenue all the way through to the next county, through Broward County. So Miami Avenue goes all the way north. It keeps going. Our office is right here by the Golden Glades. And you can take Miami all the way to, well, you're not in Miami anymore. And then you can take it south, actually, all the way to, I think, Kendall, right? So my Avenue is a huge commuter road. So you get a lot more commuter traffic there. And Wynwood Jungle, the reason why I'm bringing that up is Wynwood Jungle is closer to Miami Avenue. So you have a little bit less pedestrian, a lot more driving. And the question would be, is 23rd Street, does this have a lot of traffic? You're not really on Miami Avenue or Second Avenue. You're kind of in between. So you're on 24th Street and 23rd Street. That being said, there's stuff getting developed here, right? You got Ghee, which is an Indian restaurant, and it seems like it's part of this project here, the Omni Wynwood, and so that's pretty prominent. And then you have this charter school, you have, some other stuff here. I haven't been here in a little while. And so you do have some stuff here. Let's drop the little guy in. And you can see that the picture, does look like the email blast. So it's pretty cool looking. But it is single story. So maybe, you're buying this more for land banking, right? You just want to own some square footage of Wynwood while still getting some rents. And then maybe in 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, you can go vertical on it whenever you want. So it could be for that kind of buyer. But anyways, just want to give you an idea of Wynwood and how they're trying to sell Wynwood as a commercial real estate play. My name's Hugh Chen. I'm president of Saglo Companies. We own and operate shopping centers across Florida, Georgia, and Maryland. We have about 2.5 million square feet.